rather, Fafar and Tazar just behind him. Sean McConnell holding second spot, but he's lost it there as he's pushed right out into the fence. A very heavy fall by the American. Close contest for the minor placings. Meanwhile, Per Jonsson goes striding away up front ahead of them. Slipping through there, that's the line with White, Simon Wigg, captain of England. White's ball, of course, really wide there, but he cuts back on the inside side. Very well indeed. Continues up front. White helmet colour. Per Jonsson in the middle of a trio going along. Back straight there. And it's 3 on a line as they go into the turn. Something's got to give, and it's Jonsson who drops out of it. And that leaves Simon Wigg as the leader.
This is the setting to this week's International Speedway here on Screen Sport. Hello, I'm Julie Richardson, welcoming you to Czechoslovakia for this 39th staging of the Golden Helmet. A different format of meeting than we're used to seeing here on Screen Sport, but we'll be explaining more about that as we go along. 36 riders are taking part, and now we're...
Thanks very much, Julie. So we start the action here with race number 1 of the quarterfinals. 6 riders in a race, of course. There are 4 groups of riders. They stay within that group for a series of 3 races. 5 points for a win and 3 points for second and so on. Here in heat number 1, we've got Roman Matusek of Czechoslovakia in red. In blue from Denmark, it's Jan Pedersen. In white from East Germany, it's Mike Ott. Jeremy Doncaster from Britain is in yellow. In green, it's Rick Miller from the USA. And in black from Czechoslovakia, it's Antonin Kasper. And the first rider to show here is the Czechoslovakian. That's Matusek, who is out in front in the red helmet colour, just glancing back. But coming up alongside him now in the yellow helmet colour is Doncaster. Also there is Mike Ott of East Germany as well. Circling around this bowl here in Czechoslovakia, it's still the rider with the red helmet colour. That's Matusek, who leads out in front, coming through in yellow and black. Looks to be Jeremy Doncaster of Britain putting in a challenge. In fact, it's Doncaster now who hits the front. Captain of the Ipswich Witches, of course. He's been a regular in the British League for the last 5 or 6 seasons. Doncaster now out in front. And it's Matusek who's dropped back into second place, going out wide there, but it's still... the advantage up front is Doncaster. This is the race for second place that we're looking at, and the rider in blue, that's Jan Pedersen, comes into contention. Pedersen going through, in fact, to take second now, just ahead of Matusek, the early pace setter, who's dropped to the back, dropping to third position. But there is the checkered flag at the end of that race, and a good victory there for the rider coming through in yellow, Jeremy Doncaster. Good start for Britain through the Ipswich skipper. Second in blue, Jan Pedersen, and finishing third there in red, Roman Matusek. So we come now to heat number 2 of the quarterfinals. Kelvin Tatum, Heinz Huber, Peter Glantz, Palmer Haas, Jan Anderson and Gerd Ries in contention here. And a good start by the rider in red, that is Kelvin Tatum, British and Commonwealth champion, of course, of 1987, leading light in the Coventry B side. Tatum leads it, just tucked in behind him there in second place in the black helmet colour is Gerd Ries, champion of West Germany, riding British League for Ipswich. Beautiful conditions here, beautiful pictures here in Czechoslovakia this afternoon, and what a vast crowd there as well, enjoying the action so far as Tatum leads them. Second place still is Gerd Ries of West Germany. And there in the green helmet colour, in third spot at the moment, is Jan Anderson of Sweden and Reading, of course. Well established as an international performer. Tatum, after a good start, holding his number 1 spot. Tatum leads from Gerd Ries, and third place is Jan Anderson and the green helmet colour. That's Anderson in second place. Here's the gap between second and first. And a little bit of pressure coming on Tatum at the end of this race, but he's not enough to hold off the challenge. So a win there for Kelvin Tatum, good win as well. Now coming up in the next race is John Davis, another Englishman there, and earlier Julie had a few words with him.
Well, John, the Golden Helmet meeting, no stranger really, are you to it?
No, I've been here quite a few times now. I think it's about my 8th trip, so I know my way around.
And you're the only Englishman to ever win it?
Yes, in 36 years, the history of the event, I think. So.
Does the event get harder each year, do you think? I mean, this year especially is nearly a world final lineup, isn't it?
Yeah, it's rated second to the world final anyway on the continent, but it's always hard. The world champions nearly always here, and it's always a really good field. And the Czechs and the Eastern European riders are very hard to beat in these conditions.
And of course, it's one of the best tracks around this part, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, it's probably one of the better tracks, I think, in Europe, and I think they're definitely going for the world final. I mean, they seem to be improving the place every year, and I think within 4 or 5 years, or maybe 5 years, they'll have the world individual final here.
And how do you think you're going to perform today?
I submit about 6 o'clock. No, I think I'm fairly confident. I was going good yesterday in practice. The bikes felt good. It's down to luck, though, today. You have to qualify first. Everything's about qualifying. Once you're in the final, then you can go for broke. But the main thing is just to keep qualifying.
And are you going to give us a couple of tips?
What about?
Who's going to win?
Well, apart from myself, I guess Nilsson's got to be an obvious candidate. Tony Kasper, if he makes good starts, he's very quick here. He's probably about the best of the Eastern Europeans. Matusek's worth watching here as well. Wiggy obviously will go well. It's very open. I mean, there's a lot of riders here that could win it. I mean, Steve Baker, who just rides in the German league, he's very good as well. He's got good quick bikes and he's used to these conditions.
Well, here's one of the favourites out in this one. This is heat number 3, a chance to have a look at 6 more contenders. And the leading line of this particular 6 is Hans Nielsen, who is in yellow. John Davis is in blue. Zoltan Adroin of Hungary in red, in blue John Davis there. Steve Baker's in white, in green is Sean McConnell from America. And Shanda Tihani is in black. All well bunched behind this fella. That's the rider in yellow, Hans Nielsen. So the favourite, strong favourite for this coveted meeting, of course, hasn't actually ever won the Czechoslovakian Golden Helmet. Nigeria's won just about everything else, including, of course, the World Championship for the last couple of years. Nielsen setting a fast early pace here in heat number 3 of the quarterfinals. Nielsen leading quite comfortably now from the Hungarian. That's Adroin in the red helmet colour in second place. Up front, here he glides out of the turn, majestic figure. Perfect example of poise and balance, through poetry in motion from Nielsen, of course, the slender Dane, who rides in the British League for Oxford. Just going through there, Sean McConnell in the green helmet colour, and here is Nielsen leading clearly. And just look at the gap that he has established up front. Nielsen streets ahead of the rest of the 5 in heat number 3 of the quarterfinals. Hans Nielsen, a clear winner. Next race, heat number 4, and in this one we've got a couple of Russians and an Englishman. One from New Zealand as well, just for good measure. Overtakes, it's Vladimir Voronkov of Russia in red, blue, it's Schneiderwind of Czechoslovakia. Schneiderwind well placed at the moment in the blue helmet colour, tucked in there just behind green, the early leader, and that's Per Jonsson. Per Jonsson of Sweden and Reading. His world final bow just a fortnight ago in Amsterdam. Per Jonsson leads it. Here he is in the clear green helmet colour. Per Jonsson, the first into the turn. And in second place, it's the rider in blue. It's Schneiderwind. He is quite a gap established already up front. Very close contest for the minor placings. Meanwhile, Per Jonsson goes striding away up front ahead of them all. Slipping through there, that's the rider in white, Simon Wigg, captain of England, rides for Whitney, of course, in the British League. Goes down a little wide there, but he cuts back on the inside side, did very well indeed. Closes the door immediately on his opponent. Just stretches away by a length as they negotiate this turn. Way out up front, that's the rider in green, that's Per Jonsson with no problems at all. So a clear victory there for Sweden. The Reading rider wins it. That's a victory. And 5 points for Per Jonsson. So as the quarterfinals continued here, heat number 1 for the second time round. This is the race that Jeremy Doncaster won last time. See what sort of start the Ipswich captain can make in this particular one. Jaco Pedersen, one of his main contenders, others there as well. So is Kasper and Matusek. Right, away they go. The second time round this is of heat number 1 of the quarterfinals. And he looks like Doncaster, well placed as well in the blue helmet colour. But round the outside comes the rider in yellow. That is Kasper, one of the local favourites, of course. It's Kasper here who leads up front. It's Kasper in the yellow, pursued by the rider in blue. That's Doncaster. A good race here between the pair of them. Coming off the turn. Rider in yellow and white starting to show as well. That is Chadwick Miller, who's well placed up there as well. In fact, it's the rider in black, that's Jan O. Pedersen, who slipped through. Pedersen has now slipped through into first place. Here he is, little Pedersen leading from Casper. So they've settled themselves. Little Pedersen, just 24 years of age, been in the British League for the past 4 years. Second, of course, last year in the World Final in Katowice in Poland. A real happy, relaxed sort of little character. Bite-sized, spectacular as well. Good victory for Jano here in heat number 1, and finishing there in second place with that was Antonin Kasper picking up 4 points, and earlier Julie had a word with the local Czechoslovakian.
Tony Kasper riding in your own country in this Golden Helmet meeting. Are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, looking forward. I ride here 4 times in this meeting. It's a big meeting. This is nearly on the end of season, so this is a nearly best meeting in Czechia.
Where have you come before now in the meetings? You know, first, second, third?
Yeah, I've been second in 1983. I'm not remember who was winning then the meeting.
Who do you think's going to win today?
I don't know, maybe Hans Nelson again.
How do you think you're going to do?
I want to go just best what I can.
Well, your father used to ride, and he was in the Golden Helmet meeting, and I believe he actually won it back in 1963.
Yeah, he won. That was on a grass track. That was the last meeting on a grass track, Golden Helmet.
So it's quite nice for you for 20 years later
yeah.
to come second in it as well.
Yeah, and try.
Yeah, and you're going to do your best today?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, second time rounds for heat number 2 of the quarterfinals. Peter Glans, Paul Volkanis, Jan Andersen, Gerd Ries, Kelvin Tatum and Heinz Huber in the lineup. There's 2 West Germans, 1 Czech, 1 Dane, 1 Swede, 1 Englishman. Away they go for the second time round. This is heat number 2 of the quarterfinals. And let's pick out who the early pace setter is. That's a shot there of the rider in white. That's Jan Andersen. Jan Andersen going well out in front. Very stalwart over 7 seasons, of course. Second place, it's the West German, Gerd Ries in yellow, and third place there, Volkanis, the rider in blue. That's the battle for the minor placings, and all this going on behind the current leader. Here he is, way out in front. Just can't believe that he's built up already. That's the rider in white, that is Jan Andersen of Sweden. They're still sorting themselves out at the back, slipping through there, the rider in blue, Paul Volkanis of Czechoslovakia. The Czechs with something to cheer about in this one. We've got 1 representative here in the second time round. But it's Andersen of Sweden who has established this commanding lead. Here's the rider in yellow. In second place, that is Gerd Ries. And here's a good battle on here between Paul Volkanis, the local favourite. He's there for 4th place, but there is the checkered flag for the winner of heat number 2. And that's 5 points collected there by Sweden's Jan Andersen. So into heat number 3 now for the second time round. Steve Baker, Hans Nielsen, Sean McConnell, Shanda Tihani, Zoltan Bedroyan of Hungary, and John Davis of England in this one. Away we go. Good even start. Good start certainly for the rider here in blue, that is Hans Nielsen, with no problem still. Really did get away well. What a battle developing behind him for the minor placings. The rider in black going round the outside, so too is green. That's John Davis showing up well in this one. We've lost 1 rider, we're down to 5. There he is, that's the rider in white, Sean McCall, picks himself up. Meanwhile, the race continues up front. That's Tihani on the inside there, and what an enormous looking crash there as Tihani collides very, very badly with Steve Baker. And both of them down there on the deck. That was some collision, and Tihani, the obvious cause of that, he completely lost it and slid right into Steve Baker. Let's have a look at that again. Here they come out of the turn. Here's Tiani getting in all sorts of problems. Look, and he takes Baker absolutely right out to the fence and then gives it a fair wallop himself as well. Well, both those riders went to hospital. We'll hear the news of them later on. In the meantime, we've got a replacement in the shape of Zdenek Tazar, who comes in for Steve Baker. So it's 5 riders only for the rerun of this one. Nielsen made the jump before with no problems at all. Let's see if the 1987 world champion can get out of smoothly in this one. quick shot there of the rider in red, Tuzar. Closely there for Steve Baker. But away they go, and it's the same as before with Nielsen. The figure of the world champion. There's a little wheelie there, but he puts it down properly. Doesn't lose too much ground. Nielsen away pretty cleanly, and taking up the challenging position in second place. Coming through, John Davis. Nielsen leads up front. It is indeed Davis, who is just behind him in second place. These two have had a fair lot of battles in the British League, of course, over the last few seasons. But Nielsen way out in front. Davis up there in second place. Place for green, that's Zoltan Adroyan from Hungary. The top three, 5 riders only, of course, having lost 2 in that collision. Both of them finishing up in hospital. Stretched out way back there is the American in this one, that's Sean McConnell. No problems at all for Nielsen up front. Looking for another 5 points here, of course. Won this race, it's number 3 the first time round. He's putting on a tally of 10 and putting quite safely through to the semi-finals. Nielsen wins it, second in the black helmet colour, John Davis of England. So on we go to heat number 4 of the quarterfinals, second time round. Simon Wigg, David Barge, Per Jonsson, Vladimir Trofimov from Russia. Another Russian as well in the green, that's Vladimir Voronkov. And it's Zdeněk Schneiderwind of Czechoslovakia who completes the lineup here, riding in black. So round 2 of the quarterfinals, heat 4, and away we go. The previous winner was Per Jonsson, so we look for him in the white helmet colour. Per Jonsson in the middle of a trio going along the back straight there, and it's 3 in a line as they go into the turn. Something's got to give, and it's Jonsson who drops out of it, and that leaves Simon Wigg as the leader. But Jonsson has the inside run. Looks like we've got a good race here. Simon Wigg in the red helmet colour, just the leader. But look at Jonsson pulling a fine line on the inside, who just edges through. Jonsson on the inside, he leads it. Simon Wigg still there in contention in second place. Good racing here in this one. And the first one in the black helmet colour, that's the Czechoslovakian Zdeněk Schneiderwind. Good racing up front between these 2 experienced campaigners. That's Jonsson, of course, and Wigg. Wigg had the earlier advantage. Jonsson quick to slide through though on the inside. Jonsson, the winner of this race the first time round, so he's looking to take his tally to 10 points. 2 very impressive victories from the Reading rider and his final debut just this year. Jonsson leads, Wigg in second place, and back there in third is the Czech, that's Schneiderwind. And that's how they finish. Good victory for Per Jonsson, 2 wins for him. He has a total of 10. So the action continues here with the quarterfinals. Heat number 1 for the third time. That's the rider in blue, Antonin Kasper, local favourite lining up there. The rest of the lineup, Roman Matusek, Jano Pedersen, Mike Ott, Jeremy Doncaster and Rick Miller. Well, the rider who won this race the last time round was Jano Pedersen. Came second the first time round. Jeremy Doncaster actually won it the first time, so they're the leading contenders to watch for. But of course, the crowd here will be watching the riders red and blue. It's Matusek and Kasper as the tapes rise on this quarterfinal heat 1 for the third time. And the early leader is Kasper up front. A good race developing behind him. Matusek is also there as well. A good race for Czechoslovakia at the moment. But Matusek has lost his helmet colour. He's lost his second place as well. Just holding on, cuts back on the inside line there. So still Czechoslovakia in first and second positions. We'll look for a challenge coming here from the little man. That's Jan O. Pedersen, just sliding through, taking up third place. And looking to be well poised for a challenge on Matusek as well. Here's the race for second. Matusek on the outside, coming back on the inside though, and closing the door firmly on the Dane at the moment, but only length between them. And this is where the race is. Jano looks for the outside line. Up front, the race is still Kasper's. He's way out in front, but this is the battle for second place. And here's Pedersen driving through hard on the inside. He's mastered Matusek. A fine piece of manoeuvring there by the little Dane. Just look how he gets hunched over the handlebars. What a spectacular little stylist this man is. Kasper leads it then, and it's Pedersen who's done all the work from the back. Lifts there, but he'll hold this back surely and just head off Matusek as they chase to the line. Good victory for Kasper. Good race indeed for Czechoslovakia. Pedersen coming second, Matusek third. So heat number 2, and away we go, and it's Josef Fafar riding in red from Czechoslovakia. Gerd Ries is in blue, in white is Kelvin Tatum. Here Heinz Huber is in yellow. Peter Glanz in green, and in blue the rider there from Czechoslovakia is Pavel Karnas. So coming up to the tapes, highest scorer so far of this particular 6 is Gerd Ries, who has 8 points. So too actually does Kelvin Tatum. Both these riders on 8 points from their 2 previous outings. We don't go to the tapes. A good start by the rider in blue from West Germany, that is Gerd Ries, current West German champion, who's enjoying an eventful season in the British League. His debut season, in fact, riding in Britain for the Ipswich Witches. Gerd Ries leads. In second place, it's the rider in green there showing up. It's Peter Glanz. This Ries who leads up front. There is the race for second between Peter Glanz and Josef Fafar of Czechoslovakia. So once again, this huge crowd here has some action to watch, and their man to look for as well in the shape of Fafar in this one. No sign of Karnas getting amongst the top 3 at the moment though. But there is a clear leader, Gerd Ries, 3 or 4 lengths. His clear advantage now over Peter Glanz from Denmark. And coming off the turn for the last time, and it looks like 5 points for Gerd Ries to add to his tally of 8, gives him 13, puts him through to the semi-final stage. So into heat number 3 of the quarterfinals for the 3rd time. Sean McConnell it is on the red, starting off the inside. The American scored just 1 point from his 2 previous outings. 2 reserves coming in here, Tezar and Fafar, the 2 Czechoslovakians coming in to replace Tahani and Adroyan, and John Davis it is in yellow and black. 4 riders only, there's no Steve Baker obviously, and Hans Nielsen has already qualified, so no need for him to take his place in the lineup here. He's already scored 10 points to 50 so far. Away we go on heat number 3 for the 3rd time, and it's John Davis off the outside, the Reading rider, the first to show. 2nd place the American, that's Sean McConnell, and the 2 Czechoslovakian reserves just behind. Sean McConnell coming under a bit of pressure here as he comes out of the turn. Here so far for John Davis, the lone Briton out in this one. This is Sean McConnell in 2nd place. Negotiating that turn okay. He's got Adroyan, or rather Fafar and Tezar just behind him. Sean McConnell holding 2nd spot, but he's lost it there as he's pushed right out into the fence. A very heavy fall by the American. And this one has obviously got to be stopped. And here we go again with a rerun. Let's have a look at this again. And there is the Czechoslovakian reserve giving Sean McConnell there a good old nudge out. And the poor American has nowhere at all to go. So 4 riders we had before, we go down to just 2. And it's John Davis who powers away in this one. John Davis away from the Czechoslovakian reserve. That's Tezar in 2nd place. So Davis looking for pretty well a certain 5 points here, I would imagine, which should put him through to the semi-finals. He scored 6 so far. This would put him on a total of 11. News of the injured riders unable to go in this one. Shander Tihani, well, he's in hospital, I'm afraid, with a broken leg. And Steve Baker, who was also involved in that incident with him, he's in hospital as well with severe bruising. So unfortunate for that pairing, but good fortune here for John Davis. Away clearly from Tezar, the Czechoslovakian reserve, has come into the reckoning in this one. Davis a clear leader and looking to book his passage safely through to the semi-finals of this Golden Helmet competition. John Davis with just 1 lap remaining and a huge gap he's opened up. Got the track completely to himself up front. And John Davis just sliding it into the last turns. And John Davis, in fact, the only Englishman ever to have won this Golden Helmet being staged in Czechoslovakia. There is John Davis, a clear winner then of the rerun of Heat 3. 2nd place for the Czechoslovakian reserve Tezar. And continuing with the quarterfinals, this is round 3 at Heat number 4. We've got Per Jonsson in this one, and 2 Russians in the shape of Trofimov and Voronkov, Schneiderwind of Czechoslovakia, Simon Wigg and David Barge. And in fact, it's not Per Jonsson riding in this one in the red helmet colour, it's Zdeněk Tazar who comes in, because Per Jonsson to qualify for the semi-finals. Look at the tapes quickly, and a good start for the rider in green. He rides in green leathers, and well, it all matches, doesn't it, here, because he's got a green helmet colour on as well. Simon Wigg, being captain, enjoying life in the East End with Hackney this season, the teams from Oxford. And it's Simon Wigg who leads them. Number 4 of the quarter-finals. And Simon Wigg has not had a bad afternoon so far. He's scored 7 points from his 2 previous outings. Hasn't had a win so far, but he's looking for one here. He's pursued by the rider in yellow and black. That's the Czechoslovakian Schneiderwind. He's up in second position. There's the race for the minor placings. And it's Trofimov, his presence felt, going through to take 3rd place. It's one of 2 Russians we have here. Into the turn, coming out of the bend. No problems for Simon Wigg, a clear leader up front. Looking for his first victory out of 3 rides. He's had a 2nd and a 3rd. He's sure to qualify. Simon Wigg salutes the fact that he's through with a wheelie. And in 2nd place there's Schneiderwind from Czechoslovakia. 3rd place, Trofimov of Russia. So into the semi-finals we go. This is race number 1 for Jano Pedersen, Kelvin Tatum, Jeremy Doncaster, Per Jonsson, John Davis and Zdeněk Schneiderwind. First of the semi-finals. So out of a starting lineup of 36, we're down now to the final 12 qualifiers. And it's the top 6 who go through to the final itself. So this is where it all starts to get a bit tight and a bit tense. Who is the first to show from this particular 6? Oh, Pedersen's got away pretty well, and so too has John Davis. Coming off the turn now, it's still the rider in red, that's little Jano Pedersen, who's leading the way. We look for Per Jonsson because he's shown up very well so far. It's Per Jonsson in the yellow helmet colour. Watch for him because he's had a very, very good afternoon so far, and a good race between this pairing up front. There they are, locked in close combat together as they go into the turn. It's little Jano on the outside in red, and it's Per Jonsson, slightly larger figure in the yellow helmet colour, who has the inside line. The third spot, the line in blue, that's Kelvin Tatum of Coventry. We're on the last lap. Per Jonsson making his final bid as they come out of the turn, takes Jano just a little bit wide, and it's Per Jonsson of Reading who powers through on the inside. Fine piece of manoeuvring that was. Not a lot of room, but he found the little gap that there was, and it's a fine victory there for Per Jonsson. 2nd place, the pace setter for much of that race, Jano Pedersen, and finishing in 3rd spot from Coventry in England, Kelvin Tatum. Race number 2 of the semi-finals, and here we've got Gerd Ries, Zoltan Adroyan, Tony Kasper, Hans Nielsen, Jan Andersen and Simon Wigg. Heat number 2 of the semi-finals, the West German Ries on the inside gate 1, Adroyan of Hungary is in blue, he's off gate 2, Kasper's in white off gate 3, gate 4 for the rider in yellow, and one really to watch, of course, Hans Nielsen. In green it's Andersen, and in black is Simon Wigg, who starts off the outside. Tapes on heat number 2 of the semi-finals, and almost predictably it's the rider in yellow, Hans Nielsen, who leads the early charge. There he is, Hans Nielsen leading. 2nd place, Simon Wigg. Nielsen from Simon Wigg in 2nd spot. 3rd place there in the red helmet colour is the West German Gerd Ries. It's the 2nd race of the semi-finals. After this, of course, they're looking for a place in the top 6 for the grand final itself. Hans Nielsen, who really has looked immaculate all afternoon in the sunshine of Czechoslovakia, a clear leader from Simon Wigg, with Gerd Ries still tucked in there in 3rd position. Sliding around the machines into the turn. Simon Wigg up there in 3rd spot. Anderson to be back in 4th place in the green helmet colour. It's another particularly good ride for the Swede, but a brilliant one for the day. As he pulls a big wheelie there as he finishes the clear winner of the 2nd semi-final. Hans Nielsen the winner, in 2nd place Simon Wigg, 3rd spot Gerd Rees. And in heat number 3 of the semi-finals, here we've got Jeremy Doncaster in the red helmet colour. In blue is Per Jonsson, who really has had a storming afternoon so far. John Davis has done well, he's in white. In yellow it's Zdeněk Schneiderwind of Czechoslovakia. So the home hope still well and truly alive. Jano Pedersen is in green, and in black starting off the outside here is Kelvin Tatum of England. A bit of old argy-bargy Tates with his 7th round now. Away they go, and we look for the first one to make the jump. Good start certainly by Tatum, it seemed, off the outside, but also a good start by the rider in blue, that's Per Jonsson. Per Jonsson of Reading and Sweden away well. A bit of a jump there in 2nd place, and he drops back to 3rd place. Looking to cut back on the inside of Doncaster to reclaim 2nd. Per Jonsson, the leader, and Jano Pedersen not so far back in 3rd place as well. Jonsson leads it, 2nd place for Doncaster, and he's clearly in the red helmet colour, and 3rd spot for little Jano Pedersen. So up front, Per Jonsson still enjoying a very good afternoon, clear leader. Cappy's over the Doncaster in 2nd place. And up there in 3rd spot in the white helmet colour. Rather it's green, he's lost his helmet colour, or about to, and that is Jano Pedersen, of course. So Pedersen up there in 3rd place. Per Jonsson, big wheelie as the finish, and it's Per Jonsson the winner there of heat number 3, 2nd spot for Jeremy Doncaster, and in 3rd place in green, almost lost it, almost lost his helmet colour as well, Jano Pedersen. Race number 4 of the semi-finals with Antonin Kasper in red. In blue it's Hans Nielsen. Jan Andersen rides in white. In yellow it's Simon Wigg. Rees in green. And starting in black off the outside is the Hungarian in this one. That's Zoltan Adroyan. Very well indeed to get through to this stage of the competition, of course. Czechoslovakian hopes alive. We saw the ice standing right on the inside. And it's Kasper, but he doesn't make too much of a start. Instead it's the rider in blue, that's Hans Nielsen, who gets away very, very smoothly indeed. Sailing around the outside there is the Hungarian Adroyan, and also well placed there at the moment is Jan Andersen, holding a steady line in 3rd spot. In 2nd place, causing a few surprises in this one. Here is the leader, Nielsen, the Hungarian, wide on the outside, just checking back and seeing who's alongside him. Sees that it's Andersen, and Andersen well poised there for a challenge on the Hungarian. The Hungarian wide on the outside, Andersen up there on the inside. So a battle here between Hungary and Sweden. Really is a marvellous international afternoon, with something like 15 or 16 countries represented here in Czechoslovakia. The race really on for 2nd place then between Andersen on the inside and the Hungarian, that's Adroyan, on the outside line. And it's been an absorbing race between these two the entire 4 laps. Andersen now with perhaps just the edge as they go into the final turns, but the Hungarian hitting back fast on the outside line as well. What a race to the line is going to be between these two. Can the Swede just come through? Nielsen wins it, and 2nd, just getting the verdict, was Jan Andersen, and 3rd spot the Hungarian, Zoltan Adroyan. But a tremendous scrap between the pair of them there for 2nd place. Meanwhile, Nielsen, this man, goes marching on. So the riders preparing now for semi-final, race number 5. John Davis, Zdeněk Schneiderwind, Jano Pedersen, Kelvin Tatum, and Jeremy Doncaster. And in fact, we've only got 4 riders here. The reason being that Per Jonsson is, of course, not taking his place because he has already qualified. And also Zdeněk Schneiderwind, he's pulled out of this race because he can't qualify anyway. So we're down to 4 riders, that's Davis, Pedersen, Tatum and Doncaster, to battle out and see who's going to go through to the final of the Czechoslovakian Golden Helmet. So we've got 3 riders here from the British League, tackling 1 from Dane. In fact, 4 riders from the British League, of course, but 3 Englishmen versus a Dane. So we settle down up there, the tapes. Good start by Coben Tatum, the first to show in the yellow helmet colour. Second, just behind him, is Jan O. Pedersen. And what a scrap up front already between the pair of them. And it's Pedersen who goes through to first spot, with Tatum now relegated to second, having made a very good start. Third place, it's the rider in green, Jeremy Doncaster. So Jan O. Pedersen leading 2 or 3 lengths. The gap he's opened up already over Tatum, who's had to settle back into second position. And it looks now as if there's no way back for the Coventry rider. Winner, of course, this year of the British and Commonwealth titles. Had a good season indeed on the domestic front. Unfortunately failed to make the World Final in Amsterdam, which was a great disappointment. But he's bounced back well, and of course Coventry, his team in the British League, are well poised for just about everything that's going in the way of trophies this season. Tatum glancing back to see where the opposition is. And the opposition coming in the shape of the rider in green. That's Jeremy Doncaster, who's some way back in third place. And behind him is John Davis in the road to helmet colour, who's way back in fourth. Pedersen looking for a victory here to put him through to the final. And Pedersen indeed wins race number 5 of the semi-finals. 5 points for Jan O. Pedersen. Second place, Coben Tatum. And third spot there, Jeremy Doncaster. So we come now to race number 6. This is the final race in the semi-finals. And after this, of course, the final lineup will be absolutely clear. Well, in this race, we've got Jan Andersen, Simon Wigg, Gerd Rees, Zoltan Adroyan, Anthony Casper. We should have had Hans Nielsen as well, but he's not taking part because he has already qualified. So he's done it without having to take his place here in heat number 6. So 5 riders it is: Andersen, Wigg, Rees, Adroyan, and Casper. Andersen on the inside in the red helmet colour, got away to a good start. Second place there, the rider in white. That's Adroyan. Scrap there for the minor placings, and Andersen pretty well unaware of it, way well, way out in front. Second place is the rider in blue, that's Simon Wigg, who's come through with Adroyan in the yellow and black helmet colour on the outside. Good scrap between this pair. Adroyan really has figured in some good races here this afternoon, the Hungarian. Really has given a very good account of himself. Likes to ride wide, and that's for the excitement, because it gives the riders who like to pick up the inside line the chance to slide through and have a real good little dabble. And that's exactly what's happening here, with Adroyan wide on the outside and Simon Wigg seeing a big gap on the inside. And that's the gap that Simon's diving for here as they go into the turns. Jan Andersen leads it then. The battle for second between Wigg on the inside and the Hungarian Adroyan on the outside. Still the battle as we go into the final turn. Andersen holding on certainly for a good victory, and his Wigg has found a passage through right on the line. Well, the Hungarian looked as if he'd held off the challenge. He certainly held it off for 3 3/4 laps, but at the end he had to give way. Wigg coming through for second place. They are the B finalists. That's a consolation final, as it were. The 6 riders who've finished just out of the top 6 actually this afternoon, but they're in the top dozen, and here they come to the line. That's John Davis, Gerd Rees, Jeremy Doncaster. This is how they line up from the inside, with Davis on the inside 1, Rees next to him 2, Doncaster 3, Antonin Casper of Czechoslovakia in gate 4, another Czech, Snydervid is there in gate 5, and starting off the outside, nearest to the camera is Adroyan. Up go the tapes, and the Czechs represented by 2 riders here. And this will be good for them to seal a victory in the V final. And as we pick them up coming out of the turn, it's the rider in green, that's Snydervid, who leads from Gerd Rees, the West German, who's there in the blue helmet colour, in second. But this is rider number 35, that's Snydervid who is leading the V final. Good scrap for the minor placings. Sliding through is Adroyan there in the black helmet colour, picking up third spot. Looks like Czechoslovakia in first spot in the B final through this fella, Zdeněk Snydervid. And we've lost Casper with an engine failure, so important for Czechoslovakia that Snydervid doesn't suffer any ailments, that he holds on. Snydervid leads up front in the green. Second place in the blue helmet colour is Gerd Rees of West Germany. And in third spot is Droyan. And there's Doncaster slowing dramatically. He's out of it, the Ipswich captain. But it's a victory here for Czechoslovakia. Surely on the cards with Schneiderwind holding on well at the moment. He's increased his lead over the rider lying in second place in the blue helmet colour from West Germany. That's Gerd Rees. Two Ipswich riders, in fact, in this big final. Rees and Doncaster. He lost Doncaster was a failure. But Rees still there in his second place. But there is the leader in green, Schneiderwind, who really has led this race practically from start to finish. And certainly some consolation for Czechoslovakia here. They haven't got anybody in the actual final itself, but they did have representatives in the B final, and this man, Zdeněk Schneiderwind, made the most of his chances. A clear winner of the B final. Well done to the Czech, and second place, Gerd Rees. So preparing here is Jan Andersson of Sweden, and Redding, of course, who's going to be riding in the blue helmet colour. So Jan Andersson with number 27 on his back, the first to be pushed away out onto the circuit. In this, the final itself. In red, we can see Jan Andersson with a little practice start coming up to the tapes. In the white helmet colour, there is Per Jonsson. In yellow, that's Hans Nielsen, the rider really they all must fear in this race, of course. Mr. Perfection himself, really, for the last 2 or 3 years. So we've got, going through the whole lineup, the half a dozen who've made it through. Jan O. Pedersen in red. In blue, Jan Andersson. In white, it's Per Jonsson. Hans Nielsen wears yellow. In green, it's Kelvin Tatum. He's already there at the tapes, looking for gate number 5, Kelvin Tatum. And he is a fast starter, so we'll look for him from the gate. And completing the lineup, the 6th rider here in black, starting off the outside, is Simon Wigg. Kelvin Tatum's had 2 good golden helmet meetings so far. Indeed, he's been runner-up in the last couple of years. And Denmark, through the years, have had some good winnings as well, with Ollie Olsen picking up the trophy on quite a few occasions. So who's it going to be for the golden helmet of 1987? Jan O. Pedersen, Jan Andersson, Per Jonsson, Hans Nielsen, Kelvin Tatum, and Simon Wigg. Jan O. Pedersen on the inside, Simon Wigg on the outside, and of course the real one we have to say to look for is the rider starting off gate 4. That is the reigning world champ, Hans Nielsen, who is in yellow. So the tension mounting here in the stadium, of course, the nerve ends jangling quite a lot, I would imagine, down there at the starting line as the riders are being called into position. And there's no rush at all for the riders to come in, but they're pretty well in line now. Pedersen on the inside, Jan Andersson, Per Jonsson, Nielsen, Tatum and Wigg. The final itself for the golden helmet. Nielsen probably the first there to go to touch the tapes, and he's on them again, comes back off, so too does, well, Andersson slow to come back off the tapes, but he's off them now, and up go the tapes. Not a particularly clean start, but a good start indeed for Nielsen. Really, it was a cat and mouse job at the start. Nielsen the winner, and Pedersen left badly at the back in the red helmet colour. Pedersen leads it. In green is Kelvin Tatum. He got off to a good start. Nielsen leads it. Second place for Tatum. In white, showing up well, is Per Jonsson. But it's Nielsen they have to catch, and my word, the world champion takes some catching. 3-4 lengths, the gap is opened out. It's Kelvin Tatum who's giving chase. The Coventry rider in second place, and it's Per Jonsson of Sweden who is back there in third position. That's the front 3, 6 laps of course in this final, so there is time for Tatum. And indeed he's starting now to put a bit of pressure on Nielsen. The gap some 2-3 lengths. It's possible, anything can happen. A 6-lap final, 6 riders. Nielsen from Tatum, third place. In white, still Per Jonsson. That is the front 3. Fourth place there, the rider in blue looked to be Jan Andersson there in 4th spot. But it's Tatum in second. This in fact is the race for second place between Tatum and Nielsen. Tatum in green, Nielsen in white, just behind him. It's Jonsson through now, trying for the inside line, with Nielsen the leader up front. Tatum going wide but holding on to his second place. Good race here for second spot, but they're racing between themselves and not making any inroads into the lead that Nielsen has at the moment. Nielsen choosing his line around the turn. Clear leader. He's opened up the gap now to 5 or 6 lengths. He's never won the Czechoslovakian Golden Helmet, but it looks as if it's his day here in 1987. And Nielsen salutes as he takes the checkered flag. Nielsen, the winner here of the Czechoslovakian Golden Helmet, really has turned in an immaculate performance. He's been so consistent in the British League this season. Picked up his second world title, and of course he's now picked up this quite prestigious meeting as well. Hans Nielsen the winner, second Kelvin Tatum for the second year running, third spot for Per Jonsson, and finishing in fourth place, Simon Wigg. So Nielsen heading back into the pits, but they sent him back out onto the circuit as well, Denmark's #1, for a lap of honour as he waves to this large Czechoslovakian crowd who really have had tremendous entertainment here this afternoon. And for the first time in his career, Hans Nielsen prepares to take, there it is, the Czechoslovakian Golden Helmet. So with all the presentations taking place, that's the end of the action. And what fine action it's been here in Pardubice this afternoon. This large crowd has been treated to a fine spectacle. But the final word today must go to the champion. That's Hans Nielsen, talking now to Julie.
Well, Hans, another title to add to all your other titles, the Golden Helmet.
Yeah, that's nice to get another trophy in that trophy room. It's been a very interesting meeting today. There's been a lot of races. Fortunately, I didn't have to do all the quarterfinals and the semifinals because you had enough from my first two, so that was nice to save the engine a bit. Fantastic to see so many people here. There was a really good atmosphere, and that's nice to see. That's the thing we could do with a little bit more in England, but altogether, okay, at first the track was a bit grippy and there was some good racing. Later it went a bit slick and it was important you made the starts, which I did, so it was nice.
First time you've won the Golden Helmet. Is this a pace you're going to set now like Ollie Olsen did?
Well, I don't know. We'll have to see what pops up next year. I'd like to be back. Yeah, I quite enjoy this track. It's so nice and wide, and you can you can afford to do a mistake and still save it. So yeah, I would like to be back and hopefully win it a few times still.
What do you think of riding with 6 riders?
It's not bad, not here. We had the world team or the world best pairs here as well, and I think it's very good because it's so wide. I mean, it's twice as wide as any other speedway track. So, as I said before, you got room if you do any mistakes. So I think it's good with 6 riders. I think you can even ride 8 here if you had to.
It's a really nice big track, isn't it?
That's right, yeah. The trouble is with these 6-man races, if you have to take them to tracks like they mentioned Coventry next year, they'll have the best pairs final there, which I think it's a little bit silly. I think it'll become dangerous when you have it on a narrow track like that. But if England has it, I would like maybe to see it at Bellevue or just have 4 riders at Coventry instead.
Well, whatever happens or happened, you've won the meeting today, and we'd like to say on behalf of all of us at Screen Sport, congratulations. So this is what it's
Thank
all
you.
about, the Golden Helmet, made from real gold with real rubies, and it belongs to Hans Nielsen. Well, that's all we've got time for now, so that's all from me, Julie Richardson, and the Screen Sport team. Don't forget to join us next week for more international action.